reaction. And sometimes that feels uncomfortable. After you speak to your friends, to your family, to a group of people, to your team, ask yourself, did this help people know what to do next? Did it create clarity for them? Or did I just speak to keep them comfortable? We do not need to give people more reassurance. CEOs know that there's a fine line. Of course, we want to let people know when they are safe and secure. But there's a lot of times in life where things aren't safe and secure. There are a lot of unknowns. How do we create clarity for people during that time so they know what you're thinking? Because that alone sometimes reassuring.
But he's got a really good heart,
CEOs do not speak
and
differently
he's a
because they're
great
special.
musician.
They speak differently because they are clearer. They're much more intentional and outcome focused in what they say. And they use simple language, they frame it for the listener, and they think in systems, always protecting the goal of the conversation and optimizing for progress, not for approval or likeness for everybody around them. So this is not about sounding important. It is about being clear enough that people actually move, and you don't need a title to do that. The third skill is speaking from a perspective of the system, not the individual. Okay, so most people speak from like a single point of view. What is that point of view? Theirs. CEOs do not do this. That's a liability. Okay, they are constantly translating through multiple lenses. How are my employees going to hear this? Will my customers interpret this? What behaviors will this create downstream? What would the public think about this? What would my potential hires think about this? And when I put out a video, I think about all those things. Leadership in communication is not about being right. It is about being interpreted correctly and at scale, which is why having the skill to lead a large company is much harder than the skill of leading a small company. Why is that? It's much easier to take the perspective of 5 people than it is 100 or 1,000 or 5,000 or 20,000. The first time I did a full team presentation when my company had about 100 people, I wrapped up the first presentation, and I remember I literally opened up Slack and I had 15 messages from different leaders telling me I had confused this department felt left out, this one was pissed I said this thing, and I was like, oh my god, I cannot win. Good lord. Now why is that? It's because a decision that makes like perfect sense to one person can create absolute chaos in somebody else's head. It's a completely different point of view. And that is why that CEOs are so careful with their language, not because they are trying to be political, but because they're trying to understand second order effects. They don't just ask, is what I'm saying true? They ask, what will people do after hearing this? What will they say after hearing this? What are their fears from hearing this? What are they going to want to talk about with their team when they hear this? How can I address all of those things while I'm speaking? So here's the tactic for you. Before you speak, just do one check. If I were on the receiving end of this, what questions would I have? Concerns would I have? And fears would I have? And if the answer is unclear to you, you probably have not nailed your message yet. So a great piece of this is if you do already lead a company and you have a big presentation you need to give, send it to like 4 people in your team that are in random departments, etc., and say, hey, I'd like feedback on this before I present it to the entire team. As our company's gotten bigger, we're going over 150 people. That's something I do is I share it with different people and I say, how would you interpret this? What do you think your team's going to have concerns about? What do you have concerns about? And by the way, this applies to also your significant other. This applies to your friends. This applies to your
Trick
family. This
is
applies
to
to
not
your
let anyone hold
coworkers.
that kind of
Like if
power
you're
over you.
constantly speaking in a way that is inducing all of their concerns and fears, of course they may not. They might seem like they don't want to talk to you all the time. And if you don't take other people's perspectives into consideration, then you're constantly just stress inducing when you talk. The fourth skill is you want to frame everything around the benefit and the risk. People do not stay engaged because you are interesting. They stay engaged because they understand why this matters to them. Please just take this. Regular people communicate from their perspective. They talk about what's in it for them, what they need, what they want, what they're trying to explain. CEOs flip the brain. They start with the listener's incentive, what the listener wants, not what they want. You're essentially talking at people versus the other one. You're talking to people. You're communicating. I'll give you a great example of this. I had a potential CTO that I wanted to hire, and I remember he came in and he was like, I'm going to pitch you on why you should hire me. I was like, okay. So he walked through his background, his experience, his vision of like what he would do with the company and the department, all this stuff. And every single point was what this would do for him, how it's going to advance his goals, how aligned it was with his goals, how excited he was about the opportunity and the team he would get to work with. And I literally sat there thinking, wait, why should I care? Contrast that with when I sold my company. I remember the people that bought the very first slides that the acquirer put up said, what this gets you. It wasn't who we are, our history, the firm, shit, I don't give a it was, this is what you get. And it was a picture with like just a few words. And it walked me the your story until I know why it matters to me. That is the power of framing. Now, here's the thing. You've done this. You've been like in a meeting where someone's 3 minutes into an explanation and you're already thinking about something else. You're like, my inbox, I've got to do this thing later, I've got groceries.